Hey everyone, it's Loomer. I'm here at the Uplay Lounge again, and this time I'm talking with Kevin Shortt, who is the lead story designer on Watch Dogs, which again is a game that I'm incredibly excited for, so very excited to play it. Now, Watch Dogs, its narrative is very, very topical. It seems to only have gotten more and more topical as after the game was announced. You know, Prism being an obvious example, but even things like, privacy concerns with things like the Kinect on the Xbox One, Google Glass, all these things, and I guess I'm just kind of curious, how much of this is inspired kind of by, kind of the present day stuff that's going on with us, and also how much of it is kind of inspired by fiction. If you go, concepts like surveillance and stuff have been like a big part of things like 1984 for a long time and stuff, and so I was curious kind of what the balance was of that.
Yeah, for sure. I think at the core, the thing that started us on this was the very fact that we all had cell phones. We all have cell phones, and we all know how involved privacy is, how fast technology is moving. And the idea, it started at the core, that the idea that, wouldn't it be great if you could really control a city with your phone? That was where the core started. And then as you start thinking about that, we started thinking, man, just how much information do we put out there? We put out so much information because in the game you can hack into people's cell phones, listen in on their phone calls, check their text messages, and it's something that we all love to do, right? I think we all we know it's not right. You shouldn't be listening to people, but we all sit in a bus sometimes, and we can. Oh, look at that!
Yeah,
Nice.
Very
We
nice.
all sit in a bus. We've been in a bus, and you've had those moments, right, where you're listening to somebody behind you,
Yep.
and they start talking some really crazy stuff, and you can't help but kind of go, okay, what are they kind of talking about? And it could be mundane stuff. It could be nothing that's earth-shattering. There's no secrets that you can benefit from per se, but it's human life. It's true life, and we knew that's a very human thing. And so the idea that you can tap into phone calls and text messages, that's interesting too. I think it's something that we would all love to do, but it's not right. It's like we shouldn't be doing that. That's not something that you're supposed to do. And I think there's a line in technology. It's easy to do a lot of things anonymously and online. And I think it's good to pause every now and then and kind of go, okay, hey, where are we headed? What do we think about this? What should we be doing with our own privacy? Now, we aren't trying to tell players, hey, you guys need to be afraid and need to be terrified of technology, because that would be hypocritical. We love technology. We're all about it, and I have all my gadgets, all my toys, and I love playing with my toys, so I wouldn't want to lose them. But I'm a little more aware now of what it means to put all my information out there and how easily that it can be looked at. And like you say, Prism's a great example, right? We see that news come up and kind of go, okay. I had two thoughts at once. My first thought was, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that. And my second thought was, of course they're doing that.
Right.
And I think a lot of people had that very same reaction. And I think it's worth us kind of just questioning that and wondering where are we headed. And if people come away from with that idea from our game, I think we've won. If they put the game down, get up, grab their phone, and kind of go, okay, wait a second, The game is not just a game that sort of lives there. It's very much part of my world. And what does that mean? I think if people start talking about that, then that's a great thing for us. We've won.
Yeah, so it seems very much. So is it the case that this was kind of this core concept came about, mainly through the advent of cell phones and how kind of all the mobile computing and how much that connected us, and then you kind of build on top of that with Aiden and his personal story? It's very much you're telling a story about connectivity, and then it's like he's the vehicle for it, and not like you didn't start with Aiden's tale of revenge or something, and then it's like, how do you make it modern or something like that? Is that the case?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. In fact, we started with this idea that wouldn't it be great to use a city as a tool, as a weapon, and wouldn't that be great for, aren't there great gameplay opportunities in that? But and then we start developing it. Then we start looking at it a little more. And as I say, we start thinking thematically, well, what are the questions that raise from that? Yeah. And then we have to start looking at that and go, okay, well, there's our idea. There's our high-level idea. We're kind of talking at this level. What can we actually do? Where's our journey and where's our adventure out of that? Who's our hero that we want to follow through this, that the player can embody and take through? And Aiden slowly came out of that. And as you say, you mentioned earlier, did we look at fiction? For sure we did. A lot of things influenced us. You mentioned 1984, absolutely. It was books, it was movies, television. We kind of covered the gamut. I don't think we can look at one thing and say that was the one that sort of made us take off. It was really just we sort of read and watched everything. We spent a lot of time just looking at games too. Games were the same. We're looking at a lot of games and drawing from the things we love and letting them inspire us.
I'll make you understand that you'll never be free again.
Okay, so I guess we'll wrap it up with one more question.
Sure, yeah.
And this is kind of a random one that I was thinking of the other day, but it's just I was just wondering why Chicago for the setting, because I feel like open world games, especially in modern day, you see lots of like New York and like lots of LA and stuff, and I'm curious if there was anything specific about Chicago that made you choose it.
Yeah, for sure. First, I think Chicago's been left out. Yeah. Chicago's a beautiful city. It's a great city. But for us, Chicago, I don't know if you know this, Chicago is one of the most surveyed cities in the world. They have more surveillance cameras than most cities anywhere. They're getting on par with London, cities like that. So right away, that kind of intrigued us. It's a city that has this history. It's got a pretty, a lot of corruption in that city. They've overcome a lot of crime, but they've always overcome these things. It's a city that sort of has issues. It had the Great Fire, and they overcame it. It had the corruption of Al Capone and the gangsters of the Prohibition, and it overcame it. It's constantly that kind of city that kind of pulls itself up by the bootstraps, as they say, and carries on. And we love that vibe of the city, and it felt like a good fit for us. And also just gameplay-wise, we looked at it and thought, this is a game, that's a city that looks like it would be fun to drive in, that would be fun to play around in. They've got all those bridges. In our game, you can hack bridges, and you can, because if they're connected to the CTOS system, that means you can raise those bridges and use them to your advantage. So it was just a good fit for our game. And it's a pretty diverse city as well, so we love that aspect of it, and we went to Chicago to actually record the voices there.
Oh, that's great.
We wanted to make sure, because Chicago has a very distinct, they've got a distinct personality, and we thought we can't just capture that by grabbing voices from anywhere. We got to go to Chicago and get those guys giving us the true to life voices, and they were great. They did a beautiful job, and I think people are going to feel like they're getting a good sense of Chicago when they play our game.
Yeah. Great, awesome. Well, thank you so much again, and very excited for the game, of course.
Thank you. Great talking to you.
Great, yeah. Okay, so make sure you check out the rest of my videos on my channel for more E3 coverage, including more Watch Dogs and AC4 videos, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.